If I were to talk about adapting your investments, it's how do I get the most out of the dollars that I've put in, whether that be into a life insurance policy, an annuity. How do I know when to call it quits? How do I know when to add more? What are the things that we're looking for? Adapting, being flexible is a critical part of what we're able to help people do at the Financial Enhancement Group. Consider this program. We will tell you how to adapt your portfolio. Well, good morning and welcome back to Consider This Program. I am your host, Joe Clark.
And I'm Daren Hardesty.
We're happy to have you along. Hey, we are back to basics this week. Daren, former school teacher, extraordinaire.
Sure.
Math teacher.
They loved me, too.
Of course they loved you. I've yet to meet a kid who didn't love you, right? But we're talking about adapting your investments. And so what happens when people show up at our office is many times I just tell them to bring their stuff. Right? Now, Daren's much more precise than I am. So when you talk about adapting investments, what are you trying to help people do?
What we find a lot is that, over a lifetime, people who have been investing, they may have got a life insurance policy at some point. They may have got into an annuity at some point where it made sense at that time in their life.
Or where they thought it made sense.
They thought it made sense, or it just based off the current conditions at that time when they bought it, it made sense most of the time. But they get to a point where maybe they don't need that life insurance anymore. Maybe they don't need that annuity policy anymore. So when we look at adapting, we look at the options of, do we want to keep it? Do we want to transfer it to another like account, or do we want to surrender it? Those are things that we can kind of help simplify and make sure the money is working for them in the best way possible.
So let's say I've got a life insurance policy and it tells me that I've got $25,000 worth of cash value in it. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do?
I want to know what the cost basis is first.
What's that mean?
The cost basis is generally the amount that you've paid into the policy. It might be affected one way or another, but in general, it's how much that you put in. And so everything.
Why does that matter?
Well, everything that you put in has already been taxed. So when it comes out, if it was to come out, those dollars are never going to get taxed. So if there's anything above it, that gain, that is taxable as ordinary income. But sometimes the policy actually have more in it. Your cost basis is higher than the actual cash value, and there's other options we can look at for that situation as well. So knowing that cost basis kind of helps us start to figure out what decision would be best.
Okay, so let's look at this. I put $25,000 into a life insurance policy. Mm-hmm. We've called the company. This is something we do for you. You don't have to do this. We've called the life insurance company, and the life insurance company tells me my basis is $50,000, and I've only got $25,000. Right? So if I surrender it, what's my tax implication?
0.
How's come?
Because your
sounds like I had a loss.
You did have a loss, but you have 0% taxation because the cost basis is greater than what's actually in the account.
The cost basis is greater than what's in the account, so I pay no taxes.
Right.
I also do not get to deduct it.
Correct.
That is a critical part of this deal. So, what would a smart financial planner tell me to do? I
would say, as a well-trained financial planner, I would say we should probably do a 1035 exchange.
What's that?
That is there's a tax code that allows you to move life insurance to an annuity contract, life insurance to another life insurance contract, but you cannot move an annuity into a life insurance contract. But it allows you to transfer it from one policy to another like policy.
So life insurance to annuity.
Right.
Life insurance to life insurance.
Yes.
Annuity to annuity.
Yes.
But never annuity to life insurance.
Yeah, they're not going to let you improve your tax treatment.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm proud papa.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? Very, 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 very good. All right. So why, okay, so you're going to recommend a 1035 exchange, and why am I going to do that?
Because you have that $25,000 of gain of cost basis that is not still in the policy. What we would want to do is put it into a policy where it could grow faster and have less management fees. We'd lower those fees, get it invested into that policy, and let it grow up. And so the idea would be to let it grow up until it reaches that true cost basis before we actually take it out. We don't want to give up tax-free money if we can.
Ever.
Right.
It's like they talk about walking by and not picking up $5 bills, right? I mean, this is just insane. And the majority of life insurance policies are surrendered without anybody ever asking the question, what is the cost basis? Mm-hmm. So Daren did a great job explaining this. I just want to run through it one more time because this is really one of my pet peeves when I see this happen. So Joe and Barb buy a life insurance policy My cost basis is $50,000. The value of the contract is $25,000. It's true. If I surrender it, we're going to pay zero in taxes, but I also get zero loss, right?
Right.
So what Daren's going to do, being a smart financial planner, is he's going to use a 1035 exchange, perfectly legitimate legal tax code, right? He's going to use the 1035 exchange, and we're going to transfer that life insurance policy into what we would call a no-load variable annuity, right? Why an annuity? Because life insurance can go to an annuity, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the only reason. It's not because we like annuities, but we can do that transfer. The basis transfers with it, meaning that my cost basis of the $50,000 now goes inside of the new no-load, that's key word, there's no commissions, no-load variable annuity. But I only moved $25,000 over. Yeah, but that next $25,000 of growth up until where my basis is 100% tax-free, right? 100%. Now, tell me, where in the world, right? And I'll have people who have looked at me over the years and go, well, Joe, it's going to take me 10 years for that to double. Did that mean you didn't put money in your 401k?
Yeah.
Did that mean you didn't put money in your IRA? Right? Okay, it takes 10 years to do it. Let's be smart about every single dollar we have and make sure that we're putting it into the right order. So that's where cost basis comes into play, and that would work.
Yes.
All right. So now I have a life insurance policy that has $50,000 in it, but its cost basis is only $25,000. Right? Mm-hmm. So tell me about how the taxes work on that puppy.
That would mean, since you have the 25 of cost basis, the other 25 on top is now going to be added as ordinary income if you were to surrender that policy. So it's just essentially going to be added onto your tax return, an extra $25,000 taxed at whatever your highest marginal tax rate is at that time.
And key word you said is if I surrendered it.
Yes.
Right? So tell me of the difference between life insurance and annuities in terms of the IFOs. Which one's a LIFO? Which one's a FIFO?
The life insurance is last in, first out, meaning the dollars of gain is considered going in later.
Other way around. I don't want us to confuse our listeners. Life insurance is FIFO.
Life insurance is FIFO.
Right. So your first in is the first out. So you get to remove your basis.
Right.
So that $25,000 that grew to $50,000. Right?
Right.
I can take $25,000 out, and I don't have to pay a dime in taxes to anybody. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, that next $25,000, now I've removed my basis.
Yes.
Right? So where life insurance salesmen come into play here is where they tell you, well, that's when you borrow that $25,000 out. Right? That's when people sit down with their wonderful little sketches and all of the running numbers that they have to say, here's how you can fund your retirement. Right. And in theory, ladies and gentlemen, they're not lying. In theory, just for the record, you just have to make sure that you understand how illustrations really work, what costs are. There is no such thing as an average return. So you need to have something that's able to show a thing of volatility in terms of where your returns are, so you can see what is really going on. I still don't believe they're good for college planning and good for those kind of those kind of things. But an annuity is LIFO.
Right.
So the first money out. So if I moved that, when we talked about the life insurance policy before, right, where I had $25,000 of cash, but I had a $50,000 worth of basis, right? If I moved it into an annuity, even though I'm not 59, there would be no 10% federal penalty. There would be no taxation, right? Because it is still growing up. The last in is still basis, right? It's like a Roth IRA with a cap, ladies and gentlemen, so don't blow this.
Yeah.
Okay? On this example, though, now I've got $50,000 worth of gain, or $25,000 of gain, right? $25,000 of basis. I don't need the life insurance anymore, right? And now I do a 1035 exchange and I move it into the annuity. Now if I deem money out, what happens?
Now you are taxed on the gain as it comes out.
Because it's LIFO, right?
Right.
The first money that came out is actually last money in, which is the growth, right? And because I'm under 59 and a half, I'm subject to a 10% federal penalty.
Correct.
And the taxation that's on top of it,
Yeah.
right? So you really want to get this right. I mean, it's when we talk about bringing in, getting back to basics, some of this is basic for Daren and I. It doesn't mean it has to be basic for you, right? But what we want to do are look at your accounts, look at your opportunities. Every dollar that you have put somewhere is a decision that you had to make to say, I'm not doing something else, right? I'm not putting money in a 401k. I'm not paying down debt on my house. I'm not going to Disney, right?
Yeah.
Every dollar that you have that is in any of these investment accounts is a dollar where you made a decision to say, hey, I'm going to do this intentionally. And what we want to do is to make sure that those intentions still match, that we're still helping you get into that right direction, that right place to go.
Yeah.
Make sense, though?
Absolutely.
All right. So life insurance, just in summary, you got life insurance and annuities. They both have to come from a life insurance company, right? The risk to the insurance company with life insurance is that you die too soon, right? The risk with the annuity is that you live too long, right? And so they have to write both types of contracts to be able to mitigate their risk. From a tax standpoint, life insurance has a much better tax code than the annuity does, right? Which is why you can do a 1035 exchange from an insurance policy into an annuity. Now, we're not going to have enough time for this, but here's one of my other tricks. Sometimes we'll find an annuity that was written in the 80s or the 90s, and people who get commissions naturally want to go sell them, right? I will go into those contracts and look, because sometimes you've got a guaranteed rate of 4 or 5 or 6%, and they'll let you add money to it, right? And if I can add money to something that's paying me 5% guaranteed, sign me up. And we've got a lot of other money to be able to go with that. So, anyhow, it's a beautiful thing. Know your options, but be adaptable, folks. Be flexible. Pay attention to all of your soldiers where they are on the street, and don't look at them like they're just little accounts, so we're not going to pay attention, or this money does this and this money does this. We got to put it together, making sure that they're all marching to the same beat, to the same drummer to get the job done. 800-928-4001. Go to yourlifeafterwork.com.